Before we begin, make sure you're somewhere quiet. Turn off the lights. Put on your headphones. Because the stories you're about to hear aren't just scary. These are the kinds of experiences people don't talk about. If you enjoy true horror stories, unsettling encounters, and disturbing events that happen to real people, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Now, let's begin. There's something unsettling about suburbs at night that people don't like to talk about. During the day, everything feels safe. Clean sidewalks, trimmed hedges, porch lights that flick on automatically at dusk. But at night, when the street's empty and the houses go dark one by one, the same place can feel staged, like a set where something is waiting for its cue. This happened when I was 19, living with my parents in a quiet suburban neighborhood outside a mid-sized city. The kind of place where nothing ever happened. No crime stories. No police sirens. The most excitement anyone got was when someone's dog got loose or a package was stolen. That's why what happened still doesn't make sense to me. It started with a house. The house across the street had been empty for months. No for sale sign. No moving truck. Just empty. Every window dark. Every curtain drawn. The lawn was always trimmed, though, which I thought was strange. Not overgrown. Not dead. Perfectly maintained, like someone was taking care of it without actually living there. At first, I barely noticed it. Then I started working late shifts and getting home around midnight. That's when I realized the house wasn't as empty as it looked. The first night I noticed it, I was pulling into the driveway when I saw a light turn off inside the house. Second floor. Back room. Just a quick flicker, like someone had realized they were being watched. I stood there with my car running, staring at the dark window. Nothing else happened. I told myself it was probably a timer or a reflection or a neighbor messing around. The next night, it happened again. Only this time, the light didn't turn off right away. I watched it glow faintly behind the curtains for almost 10 seconds, and then the curtain moved. Not a breeze. Not a sway. Someone pulled it back. I couldn't see a face. Just a shape standing too close to the glass. I felt this sudden pressure in my chest, like my body knew something was wrong before my brain caught up. The curtain fell back into place. The light went out. I didn't sleep that night. Over the next week, the house seemed to become aware of me. Whenever I came home late, something inside would change. A light. A shadow. A movement behind a window that vanished the second I looked directly at it. I mentioned it to my parents. My dad laughed and said maybe someone bought the place and hadn't moved in yet. My mom told me I was probably tired. But then my mom stopped laughing too. One night, she asked me if I'd been walking around outside after midnight. I said no. She told me she'd seen someone standing across the street, just beyond the curb, staring at our house. Not moving. Not pacing. Just standing there, close enough that she could see the outline of their shoulders through the darkness. When she turned on the porch light, the person stepped backward, straight into the shadows of the empty house, and vanished. The next morning, I walked over to the house for the first time. Up close, it felt wrong. The air around it felt heavier. The windows were spotless, but when I looked inside, the rooms were empty in a way that didn't feel abandoned. No dust. No marks on the floor. Just blank. I tried the front door. Unlocked. Inside, the house smelled faintly of something metallic and old. The floors were cold under my shoes. Every room was empty except for one thing: every window faced our house. Every single one. In the upstairs back room, the one with the light, I found something that made my stomach turn. A chair. Placed directly in front of the window. The carpet beneath it was worn, like someone had been dragging it back and forth to the same spot over and over again. I left immediately. That night, The house didn't hide anymore. Lights turned on in multiple rooms. Curtains moved openly. And around 1:17 a.m., our doorbell rang. My dad checked the cameras. No one was there. But across the street, every light in the empty house was on. Every window. Every room. And in each one, we could see a silhouette standing perfectly still. Facing us. The police came. They searched the house. They found nothing. No people. No signs of forced entry. No explanation for how the lights were on. The next day, the house was boarded up. Within a week, it was sold. New family. New furniture. Kids playing outside. But sometimes, when I drive past late at night, I notice something that still makes my hand shake. One upstairs window. Curtain pulled back just a little. And a chair placed where it doesn't belong. Suburbs run on routine. That's what makes them feel safe. You notice when a car isn't where it's supposed to be. You notice when a porch light stays off too long. You notice patterns. That's how we noticed him. I was living in a rented house with two friends in a suburban development built in the early 2000s. Identical homes, identical mailboxes, identical driveways. The kind of place where you could walk 3 blocks drunk and still think you were standing in front of your own house. The man showed up one summer evening, standing at the corner of our street. At first, none of us thought much of it. He was tall, thin, wearing a dark jacket even though it was hot. He stood beside a stop sign, hands in his pockets, looking down the road like he was waiting for someone. The next night, he was there again. Same spot. Same posture. Same clothes. By the third night, it felt strange. By the fifth, it felt wrong. He didn't walk. He didn't pace. He didn't check his phone. He just stood there, watching the street. Cars passed him. People walked dogs past him. No one interacted with him. One night, I decided to wave. He didn't wave back. He slowly turned his head toward me and smiled. I don't know how to explain the smile except to say it felt rehearsed. Like he'd practiced it in a mirror without understanding when it was appropriate to use. After that, we started noticing things. He was only there during certain hours. Always between 8:30 p.m. and 11 p.m. Never earlier. Never later. And he was never there on Tuesdays. We joked about it at first. Called him the Watchman. Made up theories. But the joke stopped when he started moving. One evening, I came home early from work and saw him standing in front of our house. Not on the sidewalk. On the lawn. He wasn't looking at the door. He was looking at the windows. Slowly scanning them, like he was counting something. When I pulled into the driveway, he turned to me and said my name. Not shouted. Not asked. Said. I froze. I had never spoken to him before. I asked how he knew my name. He smiled again and said, "You leave for work at 7:10. You come home at 6:42. You don't like being late." Then he stepped off the lawn and walked down the street. We called the police. They came. Took a description. Drove around. Found nothing. That night, my roommate Jess realized something horrifying. The man's schedule matched ours. He showed up after she left for her night shift. He left before our third roommate got home. He disappeared on Tuesdays, the only day none of us were home after dark. He wasn't watching the street. He was watching who was vulnerable. Things escalated fast after that. We started finding chalk marks on the sidewalk near our house. Small symbols. Lines. Circles. Arrows pointing toward doors. Toward windows. Our trash can was moved one morning. Our gate left open. Our back porch light unscrewed just enough not to turn on. And then came the note. It was taped inside our mailbox. No envelope. No name. Just a piece of paper with 3 lines written neatly. Jess leaves at 9:03. Evan sleeps too deep. You check the locks twice. I threw up in the kitchen sink. That night, he stood directly across from our house again. But this time, he waved. We didn't sleep. At 2:14 a.m., our motion light turned on. Someone was in the backyard. I looked through the blinds and saw him standing there, staring directly at my bedroom window. He raised one finger to his lips. The police arrived faster this time. They searched the yard, the street, neighboring blocks. Again, nothing. The next day, we broke the lease and left. A month later, I got curious and checked the neighborhood Facebook group. Someone had posted about a man standing at the corner of a different street. Same description. Same hours. Same smile. But this time, someone commented something that made my blood run cold. My cousin disappeared from this area last year. The last person seen near his house was a guy like this. The post was deleted within an hour. Sometimes, when I lock my door at night, I still think about something he said the last time I saw him. As he walked away, without turning around, he said, "You should have moved sooner. You were almost next." Suburban neighborhoods are loud in subtle ways. Garage doors groan open. Lawn sprinklers hiss. Dogs bark at nothing. You notice when something doesn't fit. That's why everyone noticed the house on Alder Drive. It wasn't abandoned. It wasn't run down. It just never had visitors. No delivery trucks. No friends stopping by. No kids running in and out. No lights during holidays. No decorations. No sound. The house looked lived in, but not used. I moved into Alder Drive during my junior year of college, renting a room in a quiet cul-de-sac while finishing my last semester. It was perfect, too perfect. Safe, boring, predictable. Except for the house across the street. Every morning, its porch light turned off at exactly 6 a.m. Every night, it turned back on at exactly 9:30 p.m. No exceptions. I never saw anyone enter or leave. Curtains stayed drawn. The driveway was always empty. No trash bins ever rolled out on collection day. One afternoon, I asked my neighbor about it. She lowered her voice immediately. "That house? Oh, it's been like that since before we moved in." "How long ago was that?" She thought for a second. 8 years. 8 years. No visitors. No cars. No visible life. That night, curiosity got the better of me. Around 9:15 p.m., I sat by my window and watched the house. At 9:30 on the dot, the porch light flicked on. And this time, something else happened. A shadow crossed the upstairs window. My heart started pounding. That meant someone was inside. The next day, I paid closer attention. When I left for class, the curtains were still closed. When I returned, unchanged. No sound. No movement. But late that night, I heard something new. Footsteps. Not outside. Inside my own house. I froze in bed, listening. My roommate was out of town. The footsteps moved slowly, deliberately, across the living room floor. Then they stopped. Right outside my bedroom door. I didn't sleep. I didn't move. I didn't breathe. In the morning, nothing was out of place. No broken locks. No missing items. That night, I installed a cheap camera facing the front door. At 2:47 a.m., it recorded movement. The front door didn't open. It unlocked itself. The door slowly swung inward. and standing in the doorway was a man I had never seen before. He didn't enter. He just stood there, staring directly into the camera. Then he whispered something. The audio caught it clearly. Wrong house. The next night, I stayed awake, watching Older Drive. At 9:30 p.m., the porch light turned on. At 2:47 a.m., a light flicked on inside the house for the first time since I moved in. And I realized something horrifying. The upstairs window shadow I'd seen before wasn't moving randomly. It was pacing. Back and forth. Like someone waiting. The next morning, police cars filled the street. The house on Alder Drive had been opened. Inside, they found dozens of notebooks. Every notebook contained handwritten schedules. Names. Addresses. Sleep patterns. Work hours. Camera blind spots. And photographs. Hundreds of them. All taken from inside houses across the neighborhood. Bedroom windows. Living rooms at night. People sleeping. Including me. The house had no furniture. No bed. No food. Just notebooks and a chair placed directly beneath the upstairs window. The police never released all the details. The man was arrested quietly. No press. No headlines. A week later, a moving truck showed up. Not to clear the house. To prepare it for sale. The listing described it as a quiet home in a peaceful suburban neighborhood. Sometimes, late at night, when everything is still, I think about one last detail the detective told me off the record. The notebooks went back decades. And the scariest part? Most of the names inside them weren't crossed out. They were marked. Still accessible.